I'm not keen on cliches, but that living in the moment is so beautiful, and it is something that if you can grasp in your life, and even if you can grasp it fleetingly, it's a beautiful thing, because most of your worries don't ever happen. Like that, you worry about things that may never happen, probably won't ever happen. Like you figure out, I'm going to say this and I'm going to do this, and then you get there and it wasn't anything like you worried about in the first place. Like I don't know what my future looks like after I leave the theatre. I have no idea, but I'm pretty excited.
Welcome to the 1000 Days Sober podcast. My name is Lee Davey. I'm not an alcoholic. I refuse to be anonymous. I am someone that doesn't drink alcohol. I spend every waking moment of my life helping other people do the same, like right now. I'm going to be talking to Tony Mcgraw in a little bit, but before I do that, just the usual. If you want to join the Strive community, if you want to take the 1000 Days Sober experience and become someone that doesn't drink alcohol, if you want to take a Who Am I experience and understand who you really are, reclaim your power and step into your greatness, then get to www.1000dayssober.com and book yourself in for a Choose Yourself call and we'll have a chat about it. Okay. Also, if you're not doing, follow us on Instagram, 1000 Days Sober, and check us out on YouTube, 1000 Days Sober. We also, 1000 Days Sober, at Facebook and LinkedIn and all those other places if you don't get enough of us. Right, we're going to be talking to Tony Mcgraw. Tony is a former soldier and elite athlete who went to Canada as a new immigrant after a career as a senior executive in banking, insurance, and retail in UK and Europe. After heading up a number of startup enterprises, he led the investment group and management team to launch a new Canadian insurance company. Tony is a partner in a consulting practice which focuses on leadership, mentoring, strategy, execution planning, and business turnaround. Basically, he's a really good shit-hot businessman, right? But he's also been in AA for donkey's years. He hasn't had a drink for donkey's years. And he has a lot of wisdom. And I reached out to him on LinkedIn because I could see that he wasn't drinking. And I really wanted to talk to him to supplement our evolution phase of the 1000 Days Sober experience. So, part of the training we do at 1000 Days Sober is once you've stopped drinking and you've maintained that sobriety, well, it's time to fix up your life, right? It's time to find out who you really are. It's time to reclaim your power, step into your greatness and all that kind of stuff. And I like talking to people like Tony, successful people who can help you out. And I realized that he is an accredited Daring to Lead coach who has been gone through the school that Brené Brown runs. And I really wanted to talk to him about leadership. So that's what we start out talking about. We start out talking about leadership. And it just revolves around there. We have a good chat about business. We have a good chat about leadership, life, and all connected back to really stepping up in your power, being a man, a real man, and doing it all without drinking alcohol. So without further ado, I'll leave you in the capable hands of Tony Mcgraw. And if you want to get the show notes for this particular episode, www.1000dayssober.com. Go to the podcast page. You'll find a little area of Tony's. You'll be able to download them. Okay. Thanks for listening as always. Ciao, ciao. How's it going, Tony?
Awesome. Good to be here.
Where are you? Tell us where you are in the world. You're just about to tell me.
I'm actually, I live in Calgary, which is in Alberta in the Rockies.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm currently in Kelowna, which is in British Columbia, the next province towards the west coast.
Mm-hmm.
So beautiful wine country, gorgeous lakes. The weather's fantastic. We got a little bit of Oregon and Washington and California smoke up here at the moment. But other than that, it's beautiful. So we're at like 27 degrees centigrade today.
It's funny, you got the smoke up there.
Canada.
I know, I was going to say, I always relate Canada to freezing cold.
Calgary can be like that. It can get like minus 35, minus 40 in the winter.
We're getting the smoke down here as well. It's pretty frustrating because you can't really go out of the house. I'm saying that we've been in lockdown for so long. Should be getting used to it. But those walks around the block have started to become really important. So I kind of miss them.
Yeah, things looked a bit dodgy in the UK there a little.
No, I'm not in the UK. I'm in LA.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were in Wales or something.
No, that's where I'm from. I spend 6 months of my time there, but I've been in the US since lockdown. So I'm I'm not leaving because if I do, Donald won't let me back in. So
you can't get back in. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, I get to LA a lot. We go on a lot of road trips down there. So, Kelowna's a bit like Sonoma. Maybe not quite as hot and not as much on fire, but it's got its own like microclimate here. So.
If it's not an earthquake, it's a fire or something. Anyway, we got you on because I got you on originally because I just wanted to talk about success because, our program 1000 Days Sober, the sixth element is evolution and how important it is that once you've put the drink behind you, that you can really reclaim your power and really rediscover what it is you want to do in life. But then as I was looking through your LinkedIn profile, I was like, holy shit, he's like an accredited daring to lead. I don't even know what you call the word, right? Expert.
I guess I'm an accredited leader. My whole team did that course.
Right.
All of us.
Right.
Right from top to bottom of my organization, we all did that.
Right. Well, I read the book and I thought it was fantastic, and it is on my list of things to do at some point in the future.
Renee's quite the powerhouse, right?
Oh, unbelievable. And a lot of her work, her theories, her research, runs through the kind of the DNA of 1000 Days Sober. It's really important. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to talk to you about that a little bit because I really believe, I'll give you an example. So I'm working with this guy at the moment. I'm helping him stop smoking, Tony, right? Mm-hmm. And we were talking about stimulus response and how he can change his environment to, improve his likelihood that he's not going to get triggered to smoke. And one of the places he said he smokes all the time is in his office, in his meeting room. Mm-hmm. So I said to him, okay, like what would happen if we made that a non-smoking office? Mm-hmm. And through our dialogue and a little bit of coaching, what it got down to really was he was worried what people would think about him if he told them that it was a non-smoking office. Mm-hmm. So I said to him, well, let pretend I'm one of your staff members and then you go through, the dialogue. And it was clear that, and I see this a lot in addiction, not business related, but personal related, there needed to be an aura about him, like a kind of like don't mess with me. I'm the leader. What I say is serious. Yeah. But at the same time, having empathy. Yeah, but a spunk, like whatever. Yeah. And it wasn't like that. It was very defeatist. And in addiction, if people can sniff that, and if they want to drink and they want to smoke and they can sniff weakness, So I think leadership is really important when it comes to quitting our addictions. And what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we talked a little bit last night, late, about Brené and some of her philosophies. And, I think the same skills apply in business leadership as they do in my own life. Mm. And I am an AAer. I have been for 23 years. That's neither good nor bad. Mm-hmm. That's neither better or worse. It's a scaffolding for my life, and that's really all it is. And one of the principles of the program is sponsorship, mentorship, whatever you want to call it. Mm. So I have an obligation to be a leader in the recovery community. So that means I've actually got to walk the talk. I can't just sit there and bullshit and use little cliches and key phrases. I've actually got to do what I say I'm doing. Mm. And I'm not always good at that. I'm just human. Like I fuck up on a regular basis. We've got a great organization in Canada. I think it might be in the US too, in business, called Fuck Up Nights.
I like it.
It's remarkable. So it's in the entrepreneur community. I think we should start that in recovery.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah,
because there is Brené's a research professional. Like she actually didn't start in the mental health field. All of her work comes from research. Yeah. So I think she talks about the human condition a lot, and that's what really attracted me to her work with my team. I fuck up a dozen times a day at least as a leader in business and as a leader in life. But I have an obligation to do my best. And when I say I want to lead with empathy, I need to do that. And that doesn't mean I can't make the tough decisions or have the tough conversations. And that's an awful lot to do with her work. Mm. But it means I display empathetic qualities in my own life. So that's become really important to me over the years, and most of my personal work, if you want to call it that, has been outside of AA, and AA has provided just a scaffolding for me to get well in the first place.
Yeah.
But, I talk about spirituality in business. And it's not always an easy topic to raise. Meditation is not an easy topic to raise in business, so you have to call it breathing exercises. But it all helps us behave like decent human beings. They calm you down when things are stressful, and they prevent you saying things that you shouldn't say. At times you shouldn't say them. So I've really enjoyed her work, and you can't be a good leader in business unless you're a pretty decent human being. And I love the philosophy. Just on your worst day, just don't be a dick. Like if nothing else on that day, just don't be a dick. And I love the philosophy that some of the older guys in recovery have taught me. I guess I'm one of those now, but it's just like on a really bad day, get to bed without using or drinking, and don't be a dick.
Yeah, I love it.
So I think that's a very, very start point for walking the talk. Like just don't be a dick, man. Like just try and be a decent human being. And in business leadership, that's so rare, unfortunately. You were talking about ego earlier. We get in ego, and ego is really fear. We don't want people to see the real us. And as a leader, we seem to feel that we've got to be dictatorial in some way, or almost sociopathic at times, where, the bottom line number is all that matters. Yeah. And I think what we fail to grasp in business and politics is that actually, if you do the right thing, the numbers take care of themselves. They really do. They follow, and if you just focus on the bottom line in life, which is getting a Ferrari or a big car or the great-looking wife or the perfect relationship or the bags of money, that very often either doesn't happen or doesn't bring you happiness. Whereas if you focus on what's happening inside of you and being a decent human being, the money will follow. You'll always get enough.
Do you know,
always get enough.
I'm so glad you said that. I had a conversation with a fella the other day. He'll be listening to this actually, and I was trying to enroll him in our program, try to help him out. And I asked him to describe his vision. And his vision was, I have this vision of, I want this really beautiful woman in my household taking care of things, And I said to him, there's something about it. It was like, because, I want to work with people who their vision is that they want to really get the beauty out of themselves. And then the beautiful woman and the Ferrari and the house and everything comes as a result of working it yourself.
It may.
Yeah, it may. But
and you may actually get the Ferrari and think, well, fuck, really, it's just a car.
Yeah, or you might get the beautiful woman, and all of a sudden you want to reach out and open up to her, and like nothing's coming out because you've basically given the universe the wrong instructions and they've delivered the wrong Amazon box. It's like...
I've won the lottery lots of times, but it's like $20.
Yeah, exactly. I want to win the lottery. It's like 10 quid. Yeah.
Yeah, I've won it lots of times, and I've had those thoughts if I only won the lottery. But, if I won 60 million, what am I even going to do with it? Like, I've got to find some good to do with that money because, there's only so many houses and so many cars.
I have a good friend of mine whose sole job is figuring out how to give all of his money away. And he says to me don't laugh, but it is so, I find it so challenging. I find it so challenging because the decisions I make with this money are game changers, You said something earlier on that actually gave me the tingles, like the old goosebumps on the arm.
Yeah.
You said, do you like to promote spirituality in business? Mm-hmm. And I've never heard, even now it's happening again. All my ears are going on me. I've never heard that before. Now, you got to preface this with the fact that I've been out of kind of, I say I'm out of the business. I run a business, but I worked for British Rail and then DB Schenker for 20 years. And I left 10 years ago. And at that time, there was a real issue, which I'm beginning to think is worse these days, is that everybody was afraid of opening their mouth and speaking the truth. And so that meant that you would go to like a big event where the CEO would be telling you, the customer comes first, our people come first. And then
it's a lie.
Yeah, you get back to base. Well, no, actually, this is the way I saw it with our CEO. He was telling the truth. But when we got back to base, our managing director would say, right, don't listen to any of that shit. I have to hit my targets. So what comes first is EBITDA, right? And what you're saying is if we could incorporate into our business life spirituality. So I'll give you an example. Talking to one of my tribe members, he's currently doing really well. Like he hasn't had a drink for a good long time. And he works in sales. That's his background. And I want him to help me get more people through the door. But it's really important to me that before we go on a call with someone, that we meditate. And we set some intention into the call. That to me is like spirituality in business. And like you said, we never had it, and it would solve so many problems.
It would, because it flips business around. Let's not talk about bottom line, whilst that's important to our survival. But if we do the right things, that will take care of itself, because our people start to flourish and grow, and they start to gain trust, and they start to believe in what you're doing. And there are some great examples of that. Like I love Richard Branson. He talks about that all of the time. And there's a guy called Gary Vaynerchuk down in down in LA. You either love him or hate him. But when you listen to him carefully, he said the most important person in his business is his people person. And culture trumps strategy every time. So if you focus as a leader on building a good culture, and by that I mean based on empathy and kindness and love, and they're words we don't like to use in business. We don't like to use those. We don't like to understand the terms around looking after each other and looking after our people. That doesn't mean that, we accept poor performance, or we accept bad behavior, or we accept sexual harassment. But there are some principles that we learn in recovery around. If you hire grown-ups, they'll do a grown-up's job. Right? So you want spiritually mature people in your organization. You don't have to supervise them then. Right? They'll do the job that they're supposed to do and that they're paid to do. So even the very principle of interviewing people and resumes is stupid. Like you get a resume and then we interview the person. He shows up wearing what he thinks you want him to wear.
Say what
answers to questions that he thinks you want to answer. So what do we get? We get a whole false. I mean, if we actually went out for a walk with a guy and tell me about you, like I don't really care what you've done. Your resume tells me you've got the skills for the job, but I want to know about you as a human being.
We had
the interview process doesn't lend itself to that.
We had a podcast guest on, Renat Strahlhofer, and she was saying, imagine how powerful it is when someone rocks up for an interview and they say, I've been an addict for 20 years and I've overcome it. Or I got divorced. What's your superpower? I got divorced. I lost my child.
Survived it.
I survived because then you're like, holy shit, they managed to deal with incredible adversity that they had no mental map on how to navigate. How great is that?
So I was on a podcast last week and I got asked what's my greatest achievement, and I was a sole parent of 2 kids. There is no job on the planet that compares to that. There isn't. It's uncharted territory completely. There are millions of books out there. None of them make any sense when you're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
There is not a CEO's job on the planet that compares with that. You look at some of the mums and the things that they have to do in their homes when they've got 3 or 4 children. I've got a friend who's got 3 boys and a special needs little girl on her own. like remarkable. Like I don't have that level of resiliency or skill or organizational ability. And I've run some fairly large businesses. I can't even come close to a woman like that. I can't. But we as society don't tend to value that when you go along with your resume and say, I've been a single mom for the last 5 years, or as you said, I've been in recovery for 2 or 3 years now, or I went through divorce and lost my kids. They're not skills that we value. But if we take it from a spiritual point of view as a business, why wouldn't I want a person with that resiliency and that depth of character working for me? Why wouldn't I? You know, I would be stupid not to hire them.
That's why Brenny's work is really important. And I think when communities like ours adopt her work, and we didn't adopt her work because she stopped drinking. We adopted her work because everything she's talking about is the human condition. And what I see, what I see that comes out of our community is everyone is a leader. They're all in different stages, and it all seems to stem from giving them the playground, and the kind of like the patience and the compassion to speak their truth. Yeah. And know that there's no kickback. And once they speak their truth, that authenticity starts to shine out, and then you can see their real leadership. But for most of them, when you turn around and tell them that they're a leader, they don't get it. They can't see it because their description of what a leader should be is very stereotypically different than
it's like a guy my age with my skin color in a suit.
I was going to ask you. Ask you what is the caricature of a leader, and what is a real leader, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I've been around leadership since I was 20. Like that's been my role my whole life, and I've probably seen a handful of good leaders in those decades. A handful. I'm in my 60s now, and for me, a leader is really somebody who creates an environment where his people can flourish. That's pretty much it. That's your job. You know, a CEO is a sought after role in this world, but I think that's actually a pretty horrible job, because like I don't love it because of all the numbers attached to it. But you know, success comes from creating an environment where your people can grow. It's really setting up a vision, telling a story that they believe in, having them believe in you personally, that's where the walk the talk comes in, which is more difficult to do than say. Yeah. Right, to actually walk the talk, because you are exposed. But creating an environment where people can flourish is so important. And I hear that over and over again, and it's the same in Brené's work. So I think we have this view that they've got to be out in front and leading the charge, and they're the person that everybody looks to. If you're a quality leader, people don't even notice you're there a lot of the time. You know, you're the spokesperson for the business, you're the chief salesperson, but in the day-to-day operation of the business, you don't need to be there breathing over people's shoulders. You don't need to be supervising them closely. You don't need reporting structures in place if you've got grown-ups working for you. And you know, the alcoholic or addict, the people in recovery, some of those people have been through the worst parts of hell. So there is not a lot that they can't survive in a business. So like a downturn like COVID, it doesn't faze people in recovery quite as much as you might think. They've lived in a downturn for decades.
Yeah.
A personal COVID, a personal lockdown, where they're removed from the normal run of society. Where if they're in an emergency room, people step over them, or they see them on the street, they look at them with disgust. These are people's brothers and sisters and fathers and mothers and husbands and wives, but they're the forgotten strata of business. So these people are used to being resilient and used to handling downturn and used to handling bad times. They're used to running things with no money.
Being resourceful.
the average drug dealer is a great entrepreneur.
I was going to say, all addicts are really resourceful.
Very. So, a good leader for me is somebody who creates a great culture and steps aside a little bit. That's the kind of opposite of what we're taught in business school.
Yeah, that's such a shame. But I mean, I wasn't even thinking of business when you said creating a space for people to flourish. What I thought of was the family home.
Totally. Yeah, and that's something I had to learn as a father, to create a space for my kids to flourish. No different than I would do in business. And I think, just in life generally, you can create a culture around you of people that gain a positive vibration from you. And that's a bit cliche, I realize, but you get back what you give out. And as somebody in recovery, if you give off positive vibes and you give off hope and you give off the whole energy of like things are going to get better and things are going to improve, you just got to have faith and do the right thing. People are attracted to you, and that's the same in business. If you give off those vibes in business, people are attracted to you. I've just lost my whole team. Like in COVID, we lost our whole business in about 2 hours on the 12th of March. And I'm actually leaving the theatre at the end of this year to start exploring some new adventures. So, but I have a resilient culture at work, and they've all left that job now better than when they came. And that's not because of me. That's because of the culture that we grew there. They've got a more open mind about the world. So as people, not just as business people, as people, they have improved themselves because of the culture that was built there. And that leaks over into your home life and your relationships and your marriages and your relationships with your children and the value you place on your friendships in the world, I think. So,
yeah, I love what you said about the, sorry to hear about the grand, by the way. I mean, you can see how that business is going to get hit. When you were saying earlier on about energy, I've got this great coach of mine at the moment, and every time I go to him moaning and groaning about something, or even not moaning and groaning, just asking him, why isn't this working? Like, why did I have a 60-minute conversation with this person who desperately needed my help, but he didn't sign up for the help, and he'll always say to me, what's going on in your life right now? How did you show up? Where are you in your integrity? Where are you in your financial integrity? Where
Don't you hate that sometimes?
Fucking yes, because I'm like, man, I got to look at myself again and again.
What's your part in that?
Yeah, but it is 100% rad. It just you slip out of it. Like, how far can you stretch 100% radical responsibility? And he challenges me like to go even further and even further. Do you know what I mean? Like, totally. and I love that because it gives you a sense of control. Like,
I'm responsible for my day.
Yeah.
Like I can change it anytime I want. I can restart my day anytime I want, and I love the principles of making amends to people immediately when you fuck up.
That
it just doesn't hang around in your life. I'm responsible for that. I'm responsible for not taking a drink. I can take a drink anytime I want. I can choose to do that, but it's my responsibility to place myself in a fit spiritual or mental condition so I don't want to. That's my, I can't rely on somebody else to do that.
I love that. Listen to that, folks, what you just said. So I see, obviously, because Strive, our community, a lot of it is written based. We have 3 meetings a week and we're on Marco Polo, so we see each other's faces a lot, but there's a lot of it writing, and the language is really important. And a lot of times you have to pick people up because the language is of scarcity and lack. I can't have a drink.
Yeah.
As opposed to what you just said is, no, I have a responsibility and I choose not to drink.
Yeah, I mean, I drink, I just don't drink alcohol.
Yes.
And really that's not so bad. When I think about it, that's really not so bad. So I can, the choice is mine. If I go out with friends to the bar or I go out for dinner, I can choose to order a glass of wine or a scotch if I want. But, I choose not to. It's not that I can't drink. I totally can drink if I want. I just choose not to. Like that's my choice every day. And I've got a toolbox to help me make sure I'm in the right frame of mind. You know, when I, even after a lot of years sober, you know, my frame of mind can shift towards thinking that would be an attractive option. It's not difficult for that to happen. But I recognize now when that's starting to shift in me. And I love what you're doing as a coach and what you're doing with your community. It's helping each other recognize when those little signs start to happen, those little shifts in attitude, the little shifts in mindset, the I'm sorry for myself a little bit. I can't have a drink. Why can't I have a drink? Everybody else can have a drink. Well, totally you can. You just choose don't. You know?
That's why
I know the consequences.
Yeah, I always say
I have no off switch. If I have one beer, I have no ability to predict what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's like
that scares me.
A clusterfuck. It's like I always say to people, look, you know, I'm not in the business of helping create miserable bastards who don't drink alcohol. Like if you're going to be really miserable and unhappy, then fucking drink. Like honestly, it's to me
it's $20.
To me, 1,000 days sober is not about the alcohol. It really isn't. It's about you know, what is it in where do we? For me, it all comes down to relationships and relational literacy. Like, how are we relating to ourselves? How are we relating to other people? Which also like connects in with leadership and all these communicative skills that we were never taught by our parents or teachers. And you know.
How would they know?
That they wouldn't, and it's left to, you know, platforms like this to help people go, communication is important. I might get myself a communication book or whatever. You know, it's like
I think what you're talking about is really dear to my heart. It's the difference between being sober, you know, not drinking, and emotional sobriety, which is that's a whole different process. That's a whole different process of communication.
I like that emotional sobriety. Yeah, I mean,
that's when you're really sober.
Well, I give you
not drinking is not enough.
No, not if you not when. So the way I see it is, to use the allegory of the Matrix, I guess, is when you're in the Matrix, you really don't see what's outside of the Matrix. And for me, outside of the Matrix was really not having a clue. Going back to the guy I spoke to who wanted the beautiful looking woman, right? So when I'm in the Matrix, I have no idea that there are women out there that have such depth of spirituality and meaning and love and healing that can you just look at them and you just fucking light up. And it's not until I get ripped out of the Matrix that I see them. And then all of a sudden, I just want to be in their presence. My wife, I want to be in her presence. But to be there and for her to want me in her presence, I can't fucking turn up like a boy. I can't be a boy.
You've got to be a grown man.
I need to be a man, right? So this is where it goes back to like emotional sobriety. I need to go back and fix that up, right? And that takes time.
Yeah, a well woman is not going to be attracted if you're not well.
No.
Like a healthy, vibrant, spiritual woman is not going to be attracted to you. That's just a simple fact. She's going to get all the alarm bells going off. This guy.
And this is why there's such a problem, Tony, isn't it? When one partner stops drinking or using and the other one doesn't, and we're talking about the other one doesn't, and the amount they drink is causing consternation in a relationship. That's massive because you haven't just made a decision to stop drinking. You've emotionally jumped onto a different level, and that's really difficult to connect.
It is, and I my marriage ended after I got sober. That's a long time ago now. But you know, like you marriage is engaging in a lifetime spiritual journey together, and you'll grow at different rates at different times. You'll become different people. In fact, every cell in your body regenerates every 12 months or something. So you're not even physically the same person. Yeah. Like everything regenerates. So, you know, that, and you'll ebb and flow. You'll get closer together and you'll pull apart a little and then you'll get closer together. And there's no guarantee that it's going to be lifetime. It's like, I can't guarantee I'm not going to drink. I can't. There's no guarantee. Like the chances of me drinking if I do the right thing is fairly slim, but I can't guarantee that for life. Neither can I guarantee I'm going to be the same person in 5 years. You know, I mean, my wife may grow faster than me. We may grow apart. We may grow closer together. We ebb and flow in life. I mean, we're two individuals on a journey together. And sometimes that's like two shipwreck survivors clinging to a rock in a storm in early sobriety. But, you know, I love what you're saying about emotional sobriety. That's something that's very important to me. And it's something I strive for, and sometimes I get really good glimpses of it for lengthy periods of time, and other times I lose it. I forget to do what I'm supposed to do. Like I'm just a human being. I forget to meditate, or I forget to say thank you at night. Or I get over ego inflated. I start to see other people and I want what they have, and you know, I have to check myself on a regular basis. So you don't just get sober and that's it. You know, this is a lifetime of development and examining yourself, and that can be exhausting sometimes.
I'd like to just like impart a lesson on people listening that I received yesterday on what you were just saying there. That, you know, we have to have reminders to keep on meditating, to keep on praying, to keep on going out and go running, to keep on eating the right foods and all that kind of stuff. Or in our environment at 1000 Days Sober, doing our homework assignments, helping other people in the forum. My coach said to me yesterday that we really need to take a deep look at self-trust. Like where are we setting ourselves up for failure? And where are we eroding our own self-trust? So when we step into the environment of somebody in somebody else's sphere, are they able to trust us if we can't trust ourselves? So if we say to ourselves, right, I'm going to meditate every day for 20 minutes, and then you cop out, you're eroding your self-trust. And that is going to show up in your integrity when you show up in the presence of someone else and you're demanding their trust, right? So for me, what I found, and this is why I didn't create 1000 Days Sober for this reason, but it's turned out to work out really well, is if you surround yourself with meditators, if you surround yourself with prayer, if you surround yourselves with people who believe in spiritualism and energy and all that kind of stuff, then it is less likely, like you said earlier on, there's no permanency in the world. We really don't know, right? But it's less likely. And if you hang around the pub, if you hang around the opium den, if you hang around where people inject heroin, if you hang around outside pubs where people smoke, and those are all, or hang around Starbucks, and these are all your vices, the coffee, the heroin, the opium, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? Then you're going to have a problem because you're surrounding yourself with the wrong people.
Inevitably, you're going to use. It's just
matter of time.
You already have. It's just a matter of time.
You already have emotionally, and it's just a matter of time for you. Yeah, totally. Physically.
I got to speak a little while ago at something called Creative Mornings. It was just before COVID, and I spoke about the whole concept of certainty being absurd and embracing uncertainty, and that comes from my journey in recovery too. Like, there is no certainty at all. There is none. Right. So we spend our whole lives basing our journey on certainty, careers and pensions and a marriage for life and children and the picket fence and the nice house. Certainty's smoke. Like it's an illusion. It doesn't exist. But when you start to take a spiritual journey and you start to trust yourself and you trust God, whatever that is for you, then you can understand the whole world is uncertain. Right? And COVID's been a great example to us of that. Yeah. You know, we do strategic planning in our businesses and we put our pension money away. And in a couple of days, the stock markets crashed, oil prices crashed, we got locked down and businesses ended in just a couple of days. And that's not the first time that's happened in human history. It's happened many times before. This one has never happened in my lifetime to this kind of depth. But that's recovery and embracing uncertainty right there in the 12th to the 13th of March. That is it in its entirety right there. You know, the world changed beyond recognition in just a few hours. So, you know, I think if we can embrace that philosophy in our life of like nothing is certain, so I've got to enjoy it today. Living in the moment is kind of cliche and a bit Buddhist, but it's true. You know, that's thousands of years of teaching right there in that phrase, living in the moment. Like that's thousands of years of knowledge and wisdom.
I find it incredible. Like, I mean, 20 minutes before I hopped on this call, I had a 20-minute meditation. And part of that meditation is reaching out to you. So I'm reaching out to you. And then I stopped myself and said, you time traveling. Tony will be there in 20 minutes. Just get back into the moment. And those little remembrances for me to be in the moment are so important, because all of my angst, my anxiety, my stress, my depression, it all comes from future thinking or lamenting something that's gone on in the past. When I can just say to myself, I have breath, my daughter's right next to me, I have a house keeping the smoke out, our food, I am just utterly abundant, then that image, or that, we go back to leadership, feeling that you're ultimately completely abundant, and then you step into the room and your people look at you, what a difference than worrying and stressing and having scarcity. And I want people to listen to this and think, when I say step into the room, you can step into a boardroom, you can step into a football change room, you can step into your kid's bedroom. That's what I'm told.
Or a bus.
Or a library or a bus or whatever.
Chat to somebody, actually say hello to somebody.
Yeah.
With a smile.
It's a gift.
It is a gift. And I'm not keen on cliches, but that living in the moment is so beautiful. And it is something, if you can grasp in your life, and even if you can grasp it fleetingly, it's a beautiful thing, because most of your worries don't ever happen. That you worry about things that may never happen, probably won't ever happen. Like you figure out, I'm going to say this and I'm going to do this, and then you get there and it wasn't anything like you worried about in the first place. Like I don't know what my future looks like after I leave the theatre. I have no idea, but I'm pretty excited.
I like that. See, you're excited. You're not like, oh my God, what's going to happen? How am I going to feed the kids? You know? I'm
sad to lose a beautiful theatre. However, it's gone. That's changed. It's already happened. There's nothing I can do to change that. And that's the way it's meant to be just at the moment. But, I'm excited. I'm 64 tomorrow, and I actually love my life. I love being in my 60s. I'm fit, and I'm at a stage in my life where I just want to do cool shit. I don't want to retire. I don't want to play golf. The whole concept of retirement is ridiculous. What am I going to do?
Do you know what, Tony? Honest to God, when I worked on the railway, when I was in the Matrix, part of my fake life was working on the railway, and my plan was to actually retire in 55, which would be 10 years from now, and I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait. Now think about that. Your entire life is thinking about getting the fuck out of the place that you're in. And
then you die.
Do you know what? Everybody who left the railway within 5 years, we were at a funeral. They lost meaning and purpose, and they didn't know what to do.
There are statistics in the insurance world around how long you're actually going to take your pension afterwards. And I think the average is like 5 years.
Yeah.
And I'm going to work my whole life for that. That's, when you think about that, it's a ridiculous concept. Somebody's making a lot of money out of that.
I know.
And it's not me.
And I'm now in a position where I wake up every morning, and this morning I woke up, I play with my daughter until 12 o'clock, and I interview you. And then after I finish interviewing you, I'm going to create content that's going to help people's lives. Why would I ever want to retire?
I'm going to the beach this afternoon.
Right,
there's a beach a block from my house here. Right. I'm going to go and sit on the beach.
Who would have thought that a Canadian, someone living in Canada, would be on a beach? It's amazing. I want to go back to something you said, because I think it's really important. When you were talking about being in the moment, right? Being in the moment and worrying about the future, and then the worry that you're putting into the world, or you're projecting half the time, that even turn out to be true, right? I want people to listen to this and think about when you're triggered, when you're drinking. So you want to stop drinking, but you're triggered. So Polly, right, just recently posted on Strive. She was in the car driving, a song come on, and she's triggered because it's triggering nostalgia, right? I remember a time when I heard this song and I was drinking, right? So the reason we really struggle is because we keep getting these triggers, and it leads us to drink. But think about what Tony said, right? You're triggered. Right now I'm triggered. But right now, be in the moment. Because if the trigger is taking you away from the moment, you're thinking about drinking, or you're thinking about a past event. But if you just be in the moment and just think, how am I feeling right now? Then that trigger loses its power. If you say to yourself, where am I triggered in my body right now? Where is it? What is it saying? Where is it? You won't find it, because what a trigger is you thinking, oh my God, I really need a drink, right? I really need a drink. This memory is making me feel like it. You're backwards and forwards in time. Just stay in equilibrium, and you have the power as a human being to just ride that through. You
can, and in that moment, you can choose to call a friend.
Yeah.
Or you can choose to text a friend, or you can choose to pull the car over and wind the window down and let the sunshine in for a minute. And not get frustrated with the traffic, or let that. I mean, the song's probably a beautiful song, and it's not about alcohol at all.
No, I was. I'm actually going to be, working on that. Like we're in the middle of working together on that trigger right now. And nostalgia is very often, it takes us back to a moment, and we're missing that moment. So there's something about that. What am I missing? Is it loneliness? Is it a partner? Is it music? Is it dance? It won't be the alcohol. Like, the alcohol is a fucking red herring.
Yeah, because we as addicts and alcoholics don't really enjoy alcohol like regular people do. A regular person will sit down and sip a glass of wine and enjoy the taste of it. That's not what I did.
No.
Like, there is a fantasy in my head sometimes that I sat on a sunny patio and had a cocktail. It's crap.
Yeah.
I didn't do that. I might have done for 10 minutes, but I'm not a person. My drinking pattern was not one where I sat and enjoyed a cocktail. I would drink maybe 7 or 8 to get the evening rolling.
Yeah.
I don't get the same enjoyment out of alcohol. It's not an enjoyment experience for me. It's either a drowning out experience or a pissed off experience, or, I just need to get wasted. It's not, I'm going to sit and enjoy a glass of wine at all.
Do you know what it reminds me of?
My wife can enjoy a glass of wine.
I use this really stupid analogy, right? So let's use the, I just heard this song and it takes me back to a time when I was like having sex on a pool table, listening to this song, and we were drunk, and it's making me want to drink. Now imagine if you was having sex with that song and you're holding a pen in your hand at that time, right? And you're twiddling it. Yeah. You're not going to think to yourself, fuck, I need that pen. Like that pen was like such an important part of that experience. No, the important part of that experience was the connection, was the rush of having sex, or it could be the music. Like, I remember, I'll give you an example. I had to stop taking drugs because the railway introduced a random drugs and alcohol policy. And I was a big speed user at the time, and I stopped it for many years. But I also stayed out of environments where I would use drugs. And then one day I went to a left field concert in Cardiff University, and everyone around me was taking speed, and they asked me if I wanted some. I'm like, no, I don't do it. And I walked into the door, and the bass hit me so hard, I swear my bones were shaking, right? I was like,
that's an amazing feeling.
Honest, like, I was like,
on your chest.
And I said to my mate, no, it was my wife, give me a gram. And she gave me a gram, and I took it there and then in the moment, right? Now, I reflect on that. When I listen to Left Field now, I go back to that moment. But I know in my head that it's not the drugs. It's not the drugs. I walked in and the bass hit me. Boom, boom, boom. And that feeling, the hair standing on your head, the feeling of anticipation, it had nothing to do with the drugs, but the drugs is now part of the memory because I made it part of the memory by using it that time, right? And that's what I try to help.
The drug didn't enhance the memory.
No, it
didn't create it.
I mean, I can say to myself with speed in that moment, did it enhance my experience? Maybe did a little bit, but I don't see that with alcohol. I see every time I'm drinking alcohol, I'm going further away from the experience, right? I mean, You're
right. I've been to incredible concerts and sporting events and incredible places around the planet while I was drinking, and I was never there.
Oh, you can't even remember? You can't even remember?
Well, it seems like a dream now. Like, was I actually there?
Yeah.
What it's done, what alcohol did was take away the experiences for me. It's actually damaged the experience. It's diminished it. because, I'd be in Yugoslavia, but I got drunk. I didn't enjoy Yugoslavia. I was drunk.
That is every holiday I ever had before the age of 35. Can I just stress that point as well for people listening, because it's a really good learning point. I went to the Millennium Stadium to watch Stereophonics and a whole host of really top bands kind of supporting them. And I don't remember a single guitar being strung. But I tell you what I did is the next day when we all went to the pub and all that, I made it into a great experience. So my memory of it, my infactual memory was, what a great time. And I absolutely poured absurdity on it by saying, I can't even remember anything. Like, it was fun. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a mechanism of this belief system that keeps us drinking. So it doesn't allow us to look at our experiences and go, holy shit, alcohol robbed me of that. What we do is we joke
Alcohol's
about it.
Alcohol's a thief.
Yeah, but we joke about it. And we say, wow, I must have had a great time last night because I can't remember anything. I mean, what an oxymoron, right? I mean, that's just ridiculous.
It's amazing that we say that on a regular basis. My wife and I went down to Palm Desert a couple of years ago, and we went to a desert trip. So we've got the Stones, The Who, Bob Dylan, Paul McCartney, Roger Waters, all in one weekend. Wow. And I remember every note, every moment. Like but I went to see The Who when I was 18 and I was drunk, and all I remember is the fantasy of what I thought happened.
Yeah, the fantasy.
I had to recreate it in my head.
Well, and I want to stress this point, and this is just my belief, and this is what I kind of teach people to help them see the truth here. I say there's this almost like an entity within us called resistance, which is forcing us to drink when we don't want to drink. And it's not just drinking. Whenever we're on the cusp of greatness in life, resistance is the voices talking us down from taking that leap, taking that job, leaving that wife, moving country, right? So in that moment, it's resistance that is telling you and manufacturing and fabricating a memory that serves you because it wants you to keep drinking. And if it allows the truth to emerge, then cognitive dissonance returns and you start questioning it for the first time since you took a drop.
That's a great point.
I really believe, like, when you're young, the world is designed for you to drink. And when you first take your first drink, it's a pseudo ritual from boy to manhood. And normally you're with people you want to impress. So you drink it and it's disgusting, but they ask you what it's like and you have to tell them that it's okay because you're going through this pseudo ritual from boyhood to manhood. And so you tell resistance, no, it's okay. But your body's saying, expel it, get rid of it. It's disgusting. And you're like, no, it's okay. Until eventually you're okay with it. You've told yourself you're okay. And you get to 35 like I did. And you can't even remember that you did that.
No. So what you've actually done in that moment is not gain freedom as a man by drinking.
Not at all.
You've attached a ball and chain to both legs.
You've got the boy. You've got your boy psychology, and you've put a ball and chain on it, and you drag it through life in business, in relationships with friends, with wives and husbands. That's why there's so many divorces. Is because the fucking women are married to boys.
And what can you or what could you or what will you achieve if you actually decide to take that ball and chain off?
Nice. Just,
lots of us achieve great things with the ball and chain attached to it.
I know, and they don't even know.
What could you do?
I know.
What can you do and what will you do the minute you take that off? Like, since I took it off, my life has changed beyond recognition. Do I have more money than I did? No. Do I have more peace in my heart? Yes. And it's been a long time since I woke up with that ball of impending doom in my gut. It's been a long time. If I just get that, if I just stop that happening to me, that's remarkable. To your young audience out there, when you take that ball and chain off, your potential is unlimited. Right? You've already achieved a great deal just by surviving life with a ball and chain attached to your legs. You have no right to be even alive sometimes, but somehow you did with that attached to you. So when that's removed, like you don't need to go back. There's no good reason to drink again. There is not. even in those moments of weakness and those moments you just described where you get triggered, you know, what is the upside to that? Well, I'm going to put the ball and chain back on my legs again. You know, that if you can just imagine that picture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to purposely put the ball and chain back on my leg because I love the feel of the weight. I love it holding me back.
It's almost like we need to hire people walking around with us with a ball and chain. And when we're triggered, we're like, go on, put it on my ankle.
Just let me know. Strap it on there. Let's see how that feels again. I love dragging the weight around.
I do want to share an insight. It's a personal insight, but I'm pretty confident that it will impact other people as well. So here's my ball and chain theory. So when I was drinking, I looked at my life and I had it all. Right? I thought I had it all. I thought I had a good job, good money, good car, wife, kids, friends, and all that kind of stuff, right? But then you see the light, get pulled out of the matrix, step out of Plato's cave, whatever, you stop drinking, and now the ball and chain comes off. Yeah. But here's the thing, folks. Even though you're not drinking, resistance I said earlier on that for me, resistance is anything that stops you achieving true greatness. So you stop drinking, and then for a while you get into the rainbow, unicorn spirit things, and you start doing like I did, quitting my job. My wife divorces me. I travel around the world trying to be a professional poker player, and everything's great. But then over time, you put the ball and chain back on. You're not drinking, but you've settled again. You're on this path of least resistance, and it's settled, and it's become a dip, and you're in it. And for me, I promised 10 years ago that I would go into poker so I could find the time and the freedom to allow me to create 1,000 Days Sober. That was 10 years ago, folks. So I've only just told my people I'm stepping out of poker because I realized that to get out of that dip, you've got to be courageous, you've got to be brave, and you've got to stop playing the wait and see what happens game. You can't say to the universe, I want to help people save their lives through 1,000 Days Sober, and I can only do that full time when I have enough money in order for me to quit poker. So please let that happen, universe. No. You need to take the fucking risk. You need to say, okay, I trust that this is going to happen. And I know in my soul that I will do everything I can to make it happen. Let's fucking go for it. Ball and chain, which now is poker, bonk, it's gone. You know, like even eat it, right? For me, I went on an elimination diet to find out the foods that are causing inflammation in my body tone. Holy shit. I stopped pissing myself. I stopped like brain fog. I stopped shouting at people. Like all this stuff was still there when I stopped drinking because I still wasn't eating right. And I was a fucking clean living vegan. So just be aware, folks, that the ball and chain can easily, it attaches itself back on if you just like, you chill out. And I don't mean we shouldn't chill out. We should chill out, right? But there's different levels of chilling out. There's chilling out because we're happy with our life and this is what we want. And then there's chilling out, this fear-based, like mine is, like, I'm just showing up and getting paid a load of money to do this poker stuff, and I don't really want to do it, but I'm afraid to leave. That's not fucking.
All you've done in that is put the ball and chain in your suitcase.
Yeah, and I'm carrying it around the world with me. I love it. I fucking love that. Yeah.
You got to get rid of the suitcase too, man.
Well, it's that movie. What's that movie where it's an Indian movie, and they are actually in every scene they have to move around, and they've got all this luggage. Yeah, and it is a metaphor that they're carrying all this shit around with them.
That's totally what it is. And we do talk about baggage in life. I mean, that's used an awful lot in get well and self-help books, is carrying your baggage around. And when the baggage has got the ball and chain in it, that's fucking heavy. When I got divorced, my mum said, Lee, you're fucked because you've got so much baggage. Nobody's going to want you. And she meant my boy. She meant that's your baggage. But really, she was onto something. She was. Because that divorce and the way that I dealt with it ruined me emotionally for many years. Sobriety is putting the ball and chain in your suitcase. Emotional sobriety is leaving the suitcase in a locker at the airport, I think. Yeah. I think that is a really good ending. Tony.
Really good.
This has been an amazing conversation. I really enjoyed it. I love the community that you're building, and like anything I can do to help you, Lee, I'm right here.
Thank you, Tony. And I know you generally mean that. You when I asked you to come on here, you're like, yeah, fucking come on, let's do it. And we did it very quickly. And best of luck with your adventures post-Grand. I'm sure that it will all work out and you're going to be touching.
I'll stay in touch and let you know what's happening up here. And, I get down to LA from time to time and I'd be happy to buy you a hot chocolate or a tea or a coffee.
A cacao, a ceremonious cacao. You can meet my...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, Tony, thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
I appreciate it.